The following program may contain coarse language, violence, nudity, mature subject matter, or scenes which may not be suitable for all viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back, everyone. This is hour number 2 of tonight's show. And my name is Rob McConnell, if you're just joining us from one of our many affiliates around the world. We're talking this hour about ghosts. My guest this hour is Becky McKIDDY-GYDESEN. She is the owner of Tucson Ghost Company, which does tours, hunts, and special events all year round. She's also the founder and leader of the Tucson Ghost Society, which is a nonprofit paranormal team that has done well over 100 investigations. Joining me now is Becky. And Becky, welcome back to the X Zone. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Nice seeing you, Becky. Thanks very much for joining us. How are things in Tucson, Arizona this fine evening?
A little chilly, but going good.
All right. Now, what do you consider chilly?
Anything below 60.
Right now, outside our studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, it's 29 degrees.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I would be like in sweatpants and hoods and everything. I couldn't handle it. Nope.
How are the other members of your team doing? Have you had a good year?
Yeah, it's pretty much have gone back to normal. We've been doing really good. We accepted 2 new members this past year, and they're doing really well, and they're getting the hang of it. So
excellent. Becky, for the listeners and viewers who are, just meeting you for the first time here, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was born and raised in Toledo, Ohio, and I was raised in a haunted house.
Ooh.
So that's basically what kind of got me into all this. I moved out to Tucson when I was a teenager, and I've been here ever since. Married with 4 kids, and I started my company back in 2013.
In fact, the last time you were on, your husband was with us.
Yes.
How's he doing?
He's doing well. He
Give
kind
him
of stays behind the scenes nowadays.
Yeah. Well, give him my best.
I will.
It was great having both you on the show last time. How did you get involved in the paranormal?
In all honesty, it just kind of fell in my lap. I didn't go looking for it. I actually was just curious. I wanted more information on it. And so I personally went and took a ghost hunt. And from there, everything just kind of tumbled like dominoes. And here I am doing this 10 years later almost.
How many investigations have you done all told doing this for 10 years, would you estimate?
Probably by now, I would say closer to 200 investigations.
Wow.
Yeah. When we first started, we were nonstop. Like we were doing investigations weekly, and it kind of wore us out, to be honest. And then we started slowing down, but we've done a ton of investigations, and some of those are repeating locations though.
Really?
Yeah, we get into good terms with certain people, and we will go back and continue the research and continue the investigations to see what we can get.
Why is Tucson so haunted? Is it because of its long history, or is there something else going on there?
I think it's a little bit of everything. It's definitely the long history. A lot of people don't realize that we do date back, to early days, but 1775 is when the first colony formed here in Tucson. That's when the Presidio went up, so it dates all the way back to then. And you got to remember, we're the old Wild West, so a lot of crazy things happened in the Wild West back in the days.
Yeah, I can only speculate and tell you what I see from John Wayne movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What was your very first major paranormal investigation, Becky?
My very first investigation where I led my own team was actually a place called Bum Steer. And it's no longer around. They tore it down, which made me very sad. But it was an old like college hangout bar, and then it got shut down, and they kind of opened it as like a haunted house one year, and then they did kind of like some rave concerts and stuff like that in there. But unfortunately, a fire destroyed it, and so they tore it down.
Oh no.
Yeah, but I loved the building. It had it was like 3 stories,
Hmm.
and it had like a lot of odd things in there. Like they had like a wagon hanging from the ceiling and old dresses and things like that. So it was
Yeah.
very unique.
Um, would you consider to be your most memorable investigation over the past 200 investigations and such?
Oh, so many. I think I'll have to say that one of my first things I experienced was actually when I went to the bird cage, and we paid to get in there, unfortunately. But I remember that one really well because of the fact that there's a little girl. Her name is Sally that
Hmm.
haunts there. And she flocked to me because I kept talking about my daughters. And I was wearing, I guess you can call it a fanny pack, but I had like all my tools and instruments in
Yeah.
it. And the zipper started raising by itself and unzipping. And that was like the first time that I actually had seen something like that happen in front of my eyes. So that was so amazing. And I'll always remember that.
Well, what did it feel like knowing that there was movement on this zipper and yet you could not see anybody manipulating the zipper?
It was amazing to me. I know it probably freak other people out, but to me, I literally, I was just looking down at my lap because it was freezing cold.
Right.
And, I knew she was sitting on my lap, and I invited her because I had like mints in my, pack, and I invited her, if you want, some, you can get some. And the next thing I know, it's unzipping, and I had my co-lead May, who's been with me since day one, sitting next to me. And when I saw it unzipping right away, I like raised my hand and I did this, with my fingers pointing down, going, I'm not doing that. And she's watching it too. And we're both just like, wow. And, some people I know would probably freak out by it, but we were just like in awe over it. We were so amazed, and we wish we had a camera on me at that time, but we didn't.
But that's what you go looking for, is
Yes.
that kind of experience.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. And when it happens, I'm thrilled by it. Sometimes it does startle me and scare me, but I'm thrilled when it happens.
What's been the most scariest moment that you've had?
It's funny because I actually just did an investigation about 2 weeks ago,
Hmm.
roughly, and we were at this little oddity shop. And all night long, we just kept getting like little tiny knocks and little tiny things to communicate. And they had like mannequins dressed as ghosts. And I was staring at them, and I was making a little comment that they were freaking me out because they were staring at me. And the minute I made that comment, like a loud crashing sound happened behind me. And it literally made me jump, and it made me curse. And I looked around and nothing fell or anything. So I
Really?
had no clue what caused that sound. But that did freak me out because everything was so like very light, like really light taps, really light knocks. And that sound was so loud, it made me jump. So that kind of, scared me for a moment.
I imagine it would. If it was me, my skin would still be there and I'd be running like hell the other opposite direction. You go to all these places that have hauntings, that have ghosts, that have spirits. I'm sure there are those places that you go that have negative entities as well. Any chance of these following you home, or you inadvertently taking some of these home with you?
I always get followed home. It's nothing new. It's something that since day one, from when I did bum steer, I was
Mhm.
followed home from bum steer. It's not unusual for me. They tend to like me, and they tend to flock to me for whatever reason, and they'll come home with me. And it's not like I'm inviting them, it just happens. And even when I'm not doing investigations, for some unknown reason, we will have things happen. We saw an apparition in my backyard a few weeks ago, and we have no clue why or how or anything. We just saw someone in my backyard. So it's normal. And my house isn't normally haunted. It started when I started doing this.
Was this a full bodied apparition that you saw?
Oh, yeah. I thought it was my husband.
Oh,
Yeah, I seriously thought it was my husband in the backyard, and I had yelled out the window asking him something, and he ignored me. And so I went to find out why he was ignoring me, and he's all, I wasn't in the backyard. It wasn't me. And I was like, oh, then who was in our backyard?
By the way, for all you ladies out there who are married, it's not that we don't hear you. It's called selective hearing.
You know, I was seeing a post today that said something about when I got married, I didn't know that the ears were sold separately.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I saw a post
I know.
about the ears being sold separately.
No, I was just kidding with you there. I heard.
Yeah.
Does any other member of your family have experiences like you did, Beck?
Yes, my daughters do. The two daughters that are still living with me right now, she's 15, and she actually started doing investigations with me, so she just became a team member. And then she's going to be 12 years old. She will see things. It kind of freaks her out a little bit more, and it depends on the situation. But she will see things. But both my daughters have seen things in our house. They both have interacted with things. There's some locations that my youngest goes in, like Lawco, and she's fine being in a room by herself because she's used to those spirits. She knows who they are, and she'll just sit there by herself and communicate with them, and she's fine with it.
Beck, going back a few years, why did you form your team? What was the driving catalyst behind you saying, I'm going to find out what all this is about?
Basically, there's a couple reasons. Number one was because of my own personal experiences. And then the other one was because of the fact that since I had started the ghost tour company, I was getting asked all kinds of questions, and I didn't know the answers. And so I actually went in search of a different paranormal team, and they actually took me under their wing, and they trained me, and they're the ones that gave me pretty much my insight of things, and then set me on my own because they kind of disbanded and didn't do it anymore.
Now, when you do your tours, how long are they, and how many different locations do you do on a typical tour? And how long does a tour last? 1, 2 hours, 3 hours?
Well, technically, it's downtown Tucson, and they're supposed to last 90 minutes.
Okay.
Now, when I have ghost hosts, like my employees doing it for me, it lasts 90 minutes. When I do it, it lasts for 2 hours.
Why the difference?
Because I have a lot of personal stories from a lot of the buildings. Investigated about 90% of the buildings that we have on the tour. And so I have a lot of personal experiences, and I've met a lot of friends that worked in the buildings. So I have a lot more personal things that I bring to it. So it tends to last a little bit longer.
Hey, Becky, please stand by. You and I have to take our first break. At X Zone Nation, our guest this hour is Becky-GYDESEN. And Becky is a paranormal investigator, a ghost tour operator in Tucson, Arizona. Her website is TucsonGhostTour.com. And we'll both be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone. Don't go away. And welcome back. And the X Zone is brought to you by Beautiful Mind Coffee. Visit their website at www.beautifulmindcoffee.ca. Becky-GYDESEN is our special guest, and welcome back, Becky. Great seeing you. We've been talking about Tucson, Arizona, where you operate your paranormal investigation company as well as your tours. How haunted is Tucson? Like, are a lot of buildings, graveyards haunted?
Yeah, actually, Tucson is very famous for building on top of cemeteries.
Ooh.
Yeah, we did that quite often. There are some buildings that they didn't bother to remove the bodies because it was back in like the 1800s and early 1900s. So unless the families paid for the bodies to be moved, they stayed, and they just built on top of them. And then we're also famous for digging up bodies and moving them to build things. So there's one courthouse that, if I remember straight, don't quote me on this, but I think they moved like 3,000 bodies to build the courthouse.
3,000.
Yeah.
Holy
I know
cow.
it was a huge number, and it was just outrageous how many that they just dug up and moved. And
So how does digging up 3,000 bodies affect those who have passed on? Does this create paranormal activity?
it sometimes can, because, these people have been disturbed.
Yeah.
And so they're not happy about it all the time. And I haven't heard any stories about that one courthouse yet, but I have heard stories about other places where they built on top of them. So we'll see what happens. That it's still a couple years old, so it's still kind of new. So we'll see.
Sounds like a real estate's at a prime in Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah, there's also a place that's referred to as Court Cemetery. I can't remember the exact name, but a lot of houses are
Mhm.
actually built on top of old grave sites, and it's Court Street. That's what it's called. And people will like dig in their yards and find like bodies and stuff, like the coffins, and so then they have to call people to come out. And yeah, that's happened here a couple
Wow.
times.
Your paranormal team, how does it operate? Does it operate using science as an investigative tool?
Yes. Yeah, our main goal is to try to debunk first.
Right.
We do not go in calling everything paranormal. We do not go in yelling demon. We don't do that. We go in and we try to use our tools. We use our recorders. We try to, if we hear something,
Hmm.
recreate it to see if it was us or if it's plumbing or a rat in the wall or whatever it may be. So we do tend to stay more on the scientific part of it.
How long does an average, if there is such a thing, average paranormal investigation take?
Um, we usually go in for 4 to 8 hours, depending on what it is. The average is usually about 6.
Now, do you do the investigations purely at night, or do you sometimes do the investigations during the day as well?
It's basically at night, but we have been known to go to locations during the day. If someone tells us, it always happens at like 1 p.m., then of course we're going to be there at 1 p.m.
Let's say I was to call you up and say, "Hi, Becky. I've moved to Tucson, Arizona, and I think that the home we bought is haunted. We keep on hearing these strange sounds, and can you and your team come over?" Where would you take what would you do from that moment on?
Well, actually, in all honesty, the first thing we do is we send out a questionnaire to people, and
Okay.
we want to further research everything. We want to research the property, we want to research the people because we want to make sure it's safe for us to go in,
Sure.
and we want to see who's witnessed it, what's going on. So we don't necessarily want to go in completely blind, and we want to make sure that it's something that we feel we can help with. Because there's been situations that people call us and say, they're possessed. Well, we can't really help with that.
Yeah.
So we do the questionnaire. Once the questionnaires done and we feel we can help, we usually do an in-person interview. Now that kind of stopped because of the whole COVID thing.
Yeah.
But we're going to hopefully get back to that soon, to where we do an in-person interview and then we do the actual investigation.
Has there ever been a time when you or other members of your team have had safety concerns at a location?
Um, for spirit wise, not really. For people wise, yes.
Yes, I.
We've been in locations to where they weren't healthy environments, like trash all over the place.
Oh,
Yeah, roaches, things like that. So to say, we don't stay long in those environments.
and who could blame you?
Yeah.
Has there ever been a case that has really affected you?
There's been several actually. I am actually working right now with someone who is featured on Dead Files, and her episode was on Dead Files, and I've been continuing to work with her. And the first time I went out there and did the investigation there, I think something followed me home because I started experiencing some of the nightmares and things that she would have. And then there's been other cases to where things have followed me home and it just affected my personality.
Hmm.
So
So how do you deal with that? How do you get rid of it, or how do you get yourself back to a grounded point where these aren't bothering you anymore, that you don't have these dreams, that you don't have any negative experiences?
I basically will cleanse my house. And sometimes, I'll say a prayer for the spirits because sometimes that's what they need too. But basically, I do a cleansing and I use lavender and holy water, and that tends to work for me.
Is there a difference, in your opinion, between a spirit and a ghost, or are they both the same thing except just two different words?
To me, it's basically the same thing. I know some
Hmm.
people, have a definition of a spirit's this and a ghost is that, but to me, I refer to it as both. So I don't really separate them, so to say.
You mentioned holy water.
Yes, I always
Um,
have some.
really, eh? Uh, how does how does how does holy water work when it comes to a spirit or a negative entity? We've all seen it on TV, but
Yep.
coming from you firsthand, the real McCoy, how does it work, Beck? What's what's
Um, you
what's the
know,
science behind it?
well, it's been blessed by, the Catholic Church. And
Right.
um, I honestly, maybe it's more of the faith you put into it. Maybe that's what it is.
Hmm.
I mean, I can't scientifically prove that, holy water is what's going to do it.
For sure.
I just know that in my faith, I was raised Catholic, and you just kind of have faith
Hmm.
that, it's blessed and that God is blessing you. And I use the lavender too to help calm the environment. And I say a prayer while I'm doing it, and it seems to work for me. It may not work for everyone, but it seems to work for me. And whenever I blessed other people's houses and
Hmm.
cleanse their houses, they've told me it works too. So I'm going to stick to it because I keep getting told it works.
If it works, don't change it, right?
Yeah.
Um, what is your bucket list location? Like, where does Becky want to go more than any other place? Give me your top three.
Waverly Hills. I would
Hmm.
love to go there. I would love to go to Scotland,
Mm.
and explore like different things over there, especially like castles and things. But my heritage is from Scotland and Ireland, so I would love to go over there and explore. And then I would love to do um an old prison, probably like Ohio State because I'm from Ohio. So I've only done like little tiny prisons, so I would love to do like a major prison. That would be really cool.
A lot of the paranormal groups that we've had on the show, Becky, talk about Waverly, and why would the spirits hang around? And I know that your group does things the right way, and yet you've got other groups that go in cursing and taunting, being totally disrespectful.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
No,
don't
wow.
do that.
No, I know you don't, and I
Yeah.
respect you and your husband and your group because you're above board. But these other groups that go in taunting, cursing, swearing, why would the spirits stay in this place? And why hasn't anybody just decided to put everybody in Waverly to the other side? I
Right.
mean, besides, it would be bad for Waverly's business.
Yeah. They're stop earning money. No.
Yeah.
Um, in all honesty, I'm not sure if you can move a spirit on. I think it has to be their choice.
Ah,
So if they want to be moved on, then they'll go.
mhm.
I think you can calm the environment and ask them not to do things though. But I don't think you can make them move on unless they want to. And as for why they stick around, there's so many reasons they could be sticking around. It could be, like everyone says, unfinished business. It could be they're just truly attached to it, or they're afraid of what waits for them on the other side. Who knows why they stick around? But as for people going in there and cursing at them and trying to provoke them, I am totally against that. They were people, they were humans like us. You don't go around doing that to other humans. Well, I take that back. Some do, but you shouldn't. And you shouldn't do that to the spirits either.
Must be respectful.
Yes.
Becky, you and I have to take our break. Please stand by. X-Zone Nation, Becky Giddesen is our special guest. TucsonGhostTour.com. We'll both be back after this very short break. Whatever you do, don't go away. TucsonGhostTour.com is Becky's website. And Becky, there's a lot of TV shows on different specialty networks about ghosts, hauntings, things that go bump in the night. A lot of them I question.
I do too.
Are they an asset or a hindrance to reputable investigation teams like yours?
A little bit of both. I have to say, I always tell people, if you want something closer to reality, do ghost hunters. They're more down to earth. They do try to debunk. Well, back in, when they first came out, they really tried to debunk a lot. But it's all for entertainment. And that's what I tell people. You can't go into a location and expect something to happen at the snap of a finger.
Right.
They edit it to that. So it's kind of been bad because people will go on one of my special events and they'll be upset that something didn't happen within 10 minutes and they want to leave. And it's like, that's not how it works. But the good news is since it's so mainstream, it's brought more attention to the paranormal world, which is good. I just wish it was more in a more positive light and more real light.
You mentioned one of your special events. What kind of special events do you have?
Well, right now we're actually taking the month of December off. But we did things with Tubac Presidio. We've done things with Fox Theater, Mescal Movie Set, the Arizona History Museum. We've done things with Slaughterhouse in the past. So whatever business wants us to come in and like host an event, we're more than happy to go in there. And the reason why is because we want people to know what it's truly like to, do something like this. We don't want them basing things on the TV shows.
What are some of the comments you get from people who attend your special events when they actually see how a real paranormal team investigates?
I would have to say I am most honored by some of the people that have come up to me and told me how much they respect how respectful we are and how down to earth we are and treat, these ghosts and spirits as if they're our friends. And I'm honored when people say that, they really like that about us. And I'm glad that they see that because then I'm encouraging others to do the same thing.
I've often wondered, Becky, maybe you can help me understand, when you go to different locations and you conduct your paranormal investigations, and let's say that this location is known for the spirit or ghost of somebody, do these ghosts always wear the same clothes?
I wouldn't know. I never see them. Now I see some,
Yeah.
but it's, I've been told it's always like, a lady in white.
I see.
Or they have, an old fashioned dress or something on. I never, when I have seen things, I don't pay attention to the clothing as much. There's only one time that I can actually remember what the apparition was wearing, and that was because it was in the middle of the night in my bedroom. So I don't really pay attention to the clothing, I guess you could say. So I couldn't really answer that.
How about, for example, in the Old West, do you see, are there reports of apparitions on ghost animals, ghost horses?
Yeah.
Ghost cattle? Yeah.
Some at Laco where I do what I consider my home base, where I do my ghost experience. There's ghost animals there. We've been told like people will feel like cats rubbing up against their legs and things like that. And we've heard a horse there before. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about the negative aspect of ghost investigations? Have you come across any demonic entities in your no way?
No, I don't even like to say the word demon when I'm on an investigation. I think it gives it more power than what it really is. I think that is so rare. I've never ran into any. What I have run into is like the grumpy old men, the spirits that don't want to be messed with. They just don't want you there. They're just, get off my lawn type thing. That's what I've dealt with.
Are the spirits that you encounter, are they mostly adults or mostly children, or is it a mix? And you've got 4 children.
Yeah.
How do you deal with a child spirit or child ghost? I'm a dad, I'm a grandpa, and I just thinking about that, my heart melts,
Yeah, it's hard. I get a mix though. I get, adults and
Mhm.
children. But when it comes to the children, I think we attract the children to our house and we attract the children around us a lot. And I think it's because my heart like melts for them.
Yeah.
And I always talk about my children and that kind of attracts them. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen like a little girl in my house that wasn't one of my daughters, or, one of their toys gets played with or something. And I think it's just because we're so welcoming of, the children ghost, and we want them to, feel loved, even though they're not physically here anymore.
You're talking about taking December off, and of course Christmas.
Yes.
And to you, your family and your team, a very Merry Christmas from everybody over here.
Well, thank you.
And we're one of the very few broadcast shows that'll actually say Christmas, and mostly Happy Holidays. Screw that. It's Christmas.
Yes. I think in fact,
Christmas.
I'm a Christmas party for my team in like 2 weeks. So
Well, good. Have an eggnog spiked for me while you're at it. Christmas Carol, that Charles Dickens classic is filled with paranormal
yes,
events. It is. And when you look at the Bible, that book is filled with paranormal events. Where do we draw the line in your mind? Now, I understand that you believe you're Catholic, right? I'm a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Where do we draw the line between fact and fantasy?
I always ask myself that. I think, and there's a lot of things that I want to continue to research, in all honesty, even though
Sure.
I'm a complete believer in this and I've had experiences I can't explain, there's still a part of me that wants to do like this research, like how much is mind over matter?
Right.
How much of it is the fantasy, and what if it's just different veils to different time periods or something, and it's not actually ghost? I mean, there's so many questions and so much research to still be done.
But that's still so interesting.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, my family's really into Marvel, and so that whole last couple movies they've done with the multiverse, I'm like, what if that exists and what we're interacting with is a multiverse type thing and not a ghost? You don't know. You can't say for sure.
Especially since, what do we use? Only 10% of our brain?
Yeah.
That we know of.
Yeah.
Now, what happens if we use the other part?
Yeah.
Who knows?
That 10%.
That's right. That's right. Mind you, there are those out there who use a lot less than 10%. And I'm not pointing my finger at Washington or Ottawa either. I'll just let people assume I am. You and I have to take our final break, young lady. Please stand by. And Exonation, okay. Becky-GYDESEN is our special guest, TucsonGhostTour.com. And we'll be back. Don't go away. And the X1 was brought to you by Beautiful Mind Coffee. Visit their website at www.beautifulmindcoffee.ca. Becky, you're an animal lover.
Yes.
Are animals susceptible to the presence of spirits or ghosts?
I believe so. Mine aren't, apparently, but they totally ignore things that happen. It's like, I will clearly see something and they're just like, whatever. But yeah, I've seen animals react. In fact, the last ghost experience I had was Monday night, and they have a stray cat that they take care of there. And what was so funny was all my equipment went off, and at the same time that my equipment went off, the cat went bolting.
Wow.
So the cat must have saw something at the same exact time that my equipment went off.
Yeah, we've got one of our 3 dogs is a Shih Tzu by the name of Lola. And the doorbell goes, and she kind of looks at my wife or I and says, well, answer the damn thing. You heard it. I heard it. Go answer it. If somebody wanted to become a paranormal investigator, how would you steer them to becoming one? You know, you've got the experience, you've got the team, you've got the knowledge. So how would you suggest somebody go about learning?
Well, that's definitely what I would tell them to do first. Don't go in expecting it to be like TV.
Mhm.
Don't go in blindly. Do your research, buy books, find what you can on the internet, and more than one source. Don't just pick one source and think, oh, this is it. Look into several different sources. And when you do start doing this, don't go in calling everything a ghost. Go in looking for reasonable things, like a rat in a wall or something, before the scratching you call a demon.
Right.
And, most of all, respect. That I can't preach that enough. And never charge. Oh, that's something else I can't preach enough.
I have a great people who charge for any aspect of the paranormal is a bone of contention with me, because on one side they want to help people,
Hmm.
but on the other side they also want to get paid for it. So God bless you for what you're doing. What are your final thoughts, and what is your message to the X Zone Nation tonight?
Well, thank you for having me, and Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you too, and you are always welcome here, Becky.
Oh, I appreciate that. I love talking to you. So
Thank
it's
you.
a lot of fun. I also want to encourage people to listen to my new podcast that I started last summer. It's called Everything Under the Moon, and it's not a complete perfect schedule right now, but it does air on certain Thursday nights, and it's on Spreaker and iHeartRadio. And we do the first half of the show where we talk about anything and everything. So that's why
Mhm.
it's called Everything Under the Moon. And then the second part of it is when we focus on the paranormal. And it's a lot of fun. I have a lot of laughs on that one too.
Well, congratulations on everything you do. Please take care of yourself. My very best to your crew and your cast. And looking forward to speaking back with you in the new year. So until then, Merry Christmas to you and yours. Very Happy New Year, and stay safe, and happy haunting.
Yeah, same to you.
All right. Good night, Becky.
Good night.
Exonation, Becky Giddesen has been my guest. And if you'd like to find out more about Becky, please visit her website, TucsonGhostTour.com. I'll be back at the top of the hour as we continue with yours truly, Rob McConnell, and the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario. Let me see, if you'd like to send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, and visit the X Zone Broadcast Network, where we have all our radio shows available for you 100% with our compliments. And that's at www.xzbn.net. And for all the programs on the X Zone TV channel that is exclusive to Simul TV, www.simultv.com, and we are channel number 54. I'm Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. We'll be back at the top of the hour. Don't go away.